So this morning we're about letting go of the old and embracing the new. I let go of the old and I embrace the new. Together? I let go of the old and I embrace the new. How many of you watch Tom Skilling on WGN? Raise your hand. Come on. Okay, I'm going to do a little Tom Skilling here. How does wind blow? Wind blows because there's a relative lower pressure area into which the polar vortex comes down out of Nova Scotia or Manitoba or wherever the heck it comes from. And the wind blows downhill from the high pressure to the low pressure. How does low pressure happen? Well, it's got to have a vacuum. And so you say, well, Jesus kept saying, the Spirit is like the wind. The wind blows from here to there. Nobody knows where it came from, where it's going, and so it is to the one who's born of the Spirit. Okay, Spirit is wind. The same word, spiritus, wind. Oh, Tom Skilling is giving a weather report, but he's also telling us how the Spirit flows. There's got to be a vacuum into which the Spirit flows. How does that happen? You let go of something. You let go of something, and then Spirit can come in. I let go of something, and Spirit comes in. Together? I let go of something, and Spirit comes in. Last night I was meditating, and I felt this block, and I'm going, what is this block? Oh God, show me this block. And I was shocked and surprised that I got an answer. And I was like, it just came to me. And at first I thought, why am I thinking about this? Oh, that's the thing that's blocking me. I'm holding on to this thing, and I have this judgment about it. And then I had to move with it, and I had to let it go. And when I did it, boom, Spirit flowed in. Spirit flows in. Together? Spirit flows in. About 6 years ago, I had just, my neck went out. Now, I don't really, have that problem much. It wasn't, an ongoing thing. But I'm talking, my neck went out. And I was walking around like this. Now, I was in the middle of some pretty important stuff in my life. And I really couldn't be walking around like this and do the things that I was supposed to be doing. So I wondered, what am I going to do? And Lynn, I believe, said, hey, have you looked it up in Louise Hay? You know Louise Hay, Healing Your Life, heal your body. What is it called? Heal Your Life. Right. And so I looked it up. What is a hurt neck? And she said, it had to do, perhaps, possibly, with rigidity and only seeing things from one side and feeling hurt or wounded because you were so rigid you're only recognizing one way of looking at it. Now, I was in the middle of a situation where I had all kinds of judgments. I found some stuff out, and I knew that person was this, and this was this, and I knew exactly what was going on, and I was right. And I was right. I was this right. So there was an affirmation about I let go of, and I wish I brought the book in, but I let go of my rigid perspective and I see things from all sides. And I did that and I realized, oh my gosh, as it says in Joseph said to his brothers, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Whatever was going on with anybody else, I could see what the spiritual purpose of this was. I could see what it was doing to force me down a certain track, a certain path that I wouldn't have picked otherwise. I was being led in a direction that led me here. Yay. Here. And as soon as I got that and I accepted the lesson that my rigidity is standing in the way of the flow, my neck just went and boom, it was back. And I was fine. And I was able to show up here like this instead of like this. That was powerful because what it said to me was that we have our ideas and, third dimensionally, factually, I saw things that were going on. But what was the deeper meaning? We have to let go of the rigid way we're looking at things and move into another way. And when we do that, when we let go of the rigid position we have about things, then Spirit can flow in. Jesus used the wind as the example of this. And the wind blows, the wind of Spirit. Spiritus is wind. You say, well, this is so basic. But it is, because it's not separate from you. The Spirit of you is basic. It's real. It's definite. It's part of you. It's not far off. And you can experience it like you experience the wind. But only when you let go of something and allow the flow to come in. See, you have to do the work to generate the flow. Last night when I felt blocked, I was like, what is it? I saw it. I let go, including a lot of emotions. Emotions. You say, what about this emotions business? Well, you know something? Emotions. People misinterpret this. They think that what I'm saying is you should be blowing up your emotions on everybody else. I had somebody this last week call me up and saying, yeah, I did just what you said. And then what they were describing was, yikes. That's not what I said. When I say whip around, that doesn't mean that you should jump into the whirlwind and whip with it. It means you should be in the sacred center, the quiet center, and let things move around. They did a study at University of California at Berkeley. And in this study, they made the students watch funny movies and sad movies and told them to block their emotions, both their laughter and their tears. And they could not express inwardly or outwardly any emotions, and they hooked them up to every kind of machine you could imagine. Their blood levels of chemicals got all out of whack. Their blood pressure went up. Their brain waves got all wacky. Their galvanic skin response got all resistant. Everything you could imagine that could go wrong happened when they blocked both their positive and their negative emotions. But when they let themselves naturally feel what they're feeling, it was a positive experience. Even the sad movie was a positive experience. Again, it's about balance. It's about balance. Stephen Levine said, sometimes it's hard to feel, but it is always harder not to. And but how do you do this? That's why your journaling is your best friend. That's why you let it out. Jane Elizabeth Hart told me one time, just go into your car, roll up the window, because you got kids, they'll get scared, and just say whatever the thing, yell and scream, whatever you want to do, and then give yourself 5 minutes and then let it out. Don't dump it on the people around you. The United Methodist Church does something very interesting that Unity doesn't do. They plant churches. So if a suburb is growing in an area, they find out who lives out there, they form a core study group, and then they put money into it. And then they did some studies with sociologists to find out which groups were successful and which ones failed, which ones grew, and which ones did not survive. And they found something very strange. The groups that had big conflicts didn't survive. We would predict that, right? Then there were groups that were totally harmonious. Everybody just got along. It was a love fest, and they didn't grow either. It was the groups that had a moderate amount of conflict and had to figure out how to manage that conflict, were diverse and kind of multicultural, multi-opinion. And so and no wonder we're growing. You know, we don't all agree all the time. We talk about things. So what in your life, but it's a balance point, and it's being responsible, and it's feeling what you feel, and not letting it run you, and then expressing it in a positive way. So this wind is letting go of whatever is there, creating a low pressure system that allows the high pressure to flow in, this winds of spirit, and then you experience the spirit. I call this the Texas two-step. 2 steps. You let go of the old, you embrace the new. I let go of the old, I embrace the new. Together? I let go of the old, I embrace the new. Where in your life, and remember the first thing you've got to do, where in your life do you have to let go of the old? And how do you let go of the old? Again, just becoming aware of it's a big part. Maybe giving voice to it. Journaling it. Talking to somebody that you trust about it. I don't mean marinating in it, kvetching in it, and creating a big thing, but letting it go. So this was this first analogy of the Spirit. You're in the flow of Spirit. That you want Spirit to come in and heal you. You want to have a great experience of answered prayer. You let that go. Jane Elizabeth Hart, as many of you know, she lost her daughter. Her daughter was murdered. And she, when they caught the perpetrator, used the 7-step method, which we have shared many times. We have it outside of Fellowship Hall on the table. The journaling method to forgive the perpetrator. And when she did that work, as soon as she did, they were able to identify the body and she was able to have closure. And when the funeral happened, she comforted her friends. They were the ones who were hurting. She had worked through it. Now, I'm not expecting everybody to be on that level, but think about it. Think about a life in which no matter what life brings to you, you unconditionally can work with it and move with it by letting go of the old consciousness and allowing the Spirit to move in. As soon as she let go of and forgave that energy, the answer flowed in. Where in your life can you let go of something and allow an answer to flow in? So there's these two steps. The two steps of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Megan was singing to you about that. When you breathe in, you breathe in that oxygen that's life-giving power, that spiritus. And you breathe out what? All that stuff. All that stuff you don't need to hold on to. Guess what I read about 2 weeks ago? You know, they never could figure out where all the fat goes when people lose weight. Where does it go? It has to go somewhere. And they did all these studies and they proved without a doubt that where the fat goes is you breathe it out. Yes, that's how you eliminate fat cells. You breathe them out. And then at first service, somebody started hyperventilating. But you let go of all that yucky stuff, whatever's in your consciousness, when you breathe it out, metaphorically speaking, breathing it out through letting go of whatever it is, whatever false belief, whatever rigid thing you're holding on to. You know, that, oh, they're doing this to me and my neck's like this. And, oh, okay, I can let that go and see it from a new perspective. Sometimes we have to let go of our shame and our guilt. We'll never grow if we're stuck in shame and guilt. I remember James Dilla Freeman saying to me, whenever I feel ashamed or guilty, he says, I just say to myself, well, that just shows I've come up to here. I've come up to here. So what should we feel instead? Maybe remorse. What's the difference between remorse and guilt? Remorse says, I am not that stuff I'm letting go, but I'm aware of it and I take responsibility for it and I see it as an opportunity of letting it go. And guilt says, I'm those fat cells that are going out of my breath right now. It's a false identification of self with the things that we're letting go of. That's the difference. And remorse is healing and guilt is just keeps us stuck in it. Can you see the difference? So we all are going to be letting go of old states, old ego states. That's not who you are. That is not who I am. Together, that is not who I am. Those are just fat cells. Together, those are just fat cells. So you're just letting go of that stuff. You're letting go of that stuff. You're releasing that stuff. You're not holding on to that stuff. And then you breathe in and you're replenished. You're renewed. So how do you do the replenishment and the renewal? How do you lift yourself up into this place? You use your meditation, you use your prayer, you do your affirmations, you do your spiritual work to energize your beingness. Now think about this. What's the difference between ice, water, and steam? They're all H2O, right? The difference is energy. You add energy to the block of rigid ice, and it frees up and it starts flowing. And if you add 5 times the energy, it becomes this dispersed, transcendent spiritus something. In your life, if you add energy to the blocks in your life, to the stuck places, to say this too is God, this too is good, this too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. When you do that, you're energizing it and you're moving it from a block into a flow. And if you really stick with it, you move it from a flow into a dispersing, and you're able to let it go. Just observing these states is the powerful thing. Lynn's teaching a class on mindfulness. Just observing, being aware of this, watching it, and not judging it. You know, this life is a great experience. It's a laboratory. It's a wonderful learning experience. And every moment brings us these great opportunities if we catch hold of that star. So take the things in your life right now and allow and bring your energy to bear, allowing it to go from solid to liquid and from liquid to steam and to move into this new awareness of whatever you're in. Joseph Campbell, the mythologist, once said, the gold found in marriage is found in the conflict. And that's true in anything in life, in your job, in your relationships, in your children, your parents, everywhere. You work with the conflicts, you move with it, and then it grows you. It grows you. You know, I thought I had everything all figured out. And then every time I think I have it all figured out, something new comes in, moves me off my position, and forces me to see things with new eyes. I see things with new eyes. Together, I see things with new eyes. So, Catherine Ponder talked about the tough experiences in life. She said, say to yourself when these periods come, this is nothing to fear. There's only good at work in this experience. Healing is now taking place in my world. I rest, I relax, and I let it. So this disruption that happens, there's nothing to fear. Or as Emma Curtis Hopkins put it, this too is God, this too is good, this too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. Being willing to let go of the rigidity that is stuck in that ice block and then let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. But we've got to be willing to work with these things and not see them as detriments. Jane Elizabeth Hart once shared that she was going through a tough experience early on in her spiritual path. And she saw, and she was trying to, let it go in some way. And she saw herself with a lawnmower in a field of dandelions, cutting off the tops of the dandelions with the lawnmower, and then everything looked green and nice. And then later everything came up with a vengeance, which it would with dandelions. And the words came to her, no, you must pull this one up by the root. It is connected to a lot more than you think it is. It is connected to a lot more. So being willing to let it go, to find out, to get into what it is you need to let go. What is the deeper issue? What is the deeper issue in me that causes me to be stuck to this like Velcro? How can I replace the Velcro with the Teflon? How do I move out of that? And the first thing we got to let go of is the judgment that it's done, that situation is there for any other purpose than to bless you. The community meditation, this can only bless me, this can only heal me. And I put that on my computer. This can only bless me, this can only heal me. Together. This can only bless me, this can only heal me. And I've shared about my friend who was a violin repair person, and this was about 30 years ago, and they said that when a student violin would be brought in, a little kid the parents would buy a cheap violin. And cheap violins are made with green wood. And almost inevitably, the child will drop the violin. And it'll break or sit on the violin. And everybody's all upset because it's a terrible tragedy. But when they glue the violin together again, it plays like a much more expensive instrument. Why is that? Because the stresses of the green wood on that immature violin, as it ages, it creates stresses because it's green wood. But when it breaks, it lets go of all of that tension, and then when you put it back together, it sings. And so many of these things, this can only bless me, this can only heal me. And it means that we've got to move from looking for a solution, an outer answer, looking for a result, to moving into a spiritual experience. Ultimately, there are no problems in life. There are only spiritual experiences. What a challenge to embrace that. There are no problems in life. There's only spiritual experiences. So then you put back together what's going on. And what did Leonard Cohen say? There's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. You put it back together, and you can do something with it. Your life starts to sing. So we flow, we breathe, we move. The heart beats in and out. You've got to have both the in and the out in order for the life force energy within your body. And you've got to be willing to let things go. Once I was trying to kind of take a shortcut around this, and what came to me was something along the lines of, I think I wrote it down. Do not polish your floor without sweeping first. It will embed the dirt. You sweep it. Let it go. And then you can bring in the positive and the polishing. So, where in your life do you need to let something go, forgive something, release something, in order to allow the Spirit to come in and to move you? And I don't know, even though it's early, I get this is the time. So just take a breath and let it out. And just decide, whatever it is that's been bothering you, I'm willing. Whatever has been happening to me Spiritual growth is happening through me. Whatever has been happening to me, spiritual growth is now happening through me. I move into that spiritual sense, that spiritual center. And I decide this can only bless me, this can only heal me. This too is God, this too is good, this too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. I let go of my rigidity, of my one-sidedness, and I'm willing to see this from all sides. I'm willing to receive the blessing that is inherent within it for me. What is in this for me? And I let go. Each person here has received an opening into which the Spirit is flowing. Spiritus, wind, breath, life force energy, flow. Thank you, God. And so it is. Now we're going to move into a time of Spirit. And the flow of Spirit, there are three analogies that are used in the Bible for the flow of Spirit. The first is wind, and the second is blood, and the third is breath. And actually the word for wind and breath and the word for spirit are the same, spiritus. Blood is another word, but it's still a symbol that Jesus used. So there's a pumping of the heart, there's a breathing in and out, and there's a flowing of the wind. And we participate in it as we tap into it. Take a deep breath within and let it out, and set aside the papers in your hands so that you can feel the air upon your hands. And take another deep breath within and let it out. And again, letting go of all papers and feeling the tingling in the palms of your hands. Becoming aware that there's a spiritual life that is all around you. It's not separate from you. You can even feel it now. This feeling of tingling in the palm of your hands is evidence that there is a spiritual something, a presence and a power that you can tap into, that you can feel. And now as we move into a greater receptivity, we become aware of our breathing, knowing that even our breathing is evidence of the Spirit. With every in-breath, we take in divine energy. With every exhalation, we let go of our old consciousness. Breathing in and out in the flow. And as we move deeper, we become aware of our heartbeat. Our heart beats with this two-part movement, creating a flow. Beating in, beating out. Receiving and letting go. Life is an infinite flow of letting go of the old and embracing the new. Silently affirm to yourself, I let go of the old and I embrace the new. Feel the flow of the air upon your skin and the tingling in your hands. Feel the flow of your breath gently, naturally moving in and out. Feel the flow of the divine life and energy coursing through your body and your blood. I let go of the old and I embrace the new. And in this, I find myself involved in a deep inner flow. When something comes up that I need to let go of, I just release it. And it creates a vacuum into which is filled divine light and love and energy and wisdom. With each exhalation, each letting go, I become more and more receptive to an infilling of spirit. Spirit, wind, breath, life force energy. I'm lifted up, 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 into this flowing, moving energy. This infinite vibration and spirit, not separate from me, not far apart, nearer than breathing, closer than hands and feet. Natural part of me. I am involved in spirit, wind, breath, and spirit is involved in me. And as I let go of my concerns about any person, place, or thing, I'm infilled with divine light and energy, which is the only answer I seek. And now we come back into the presence of this room and feel the tingling in our hands and become aware of all the light around us and realize that we are the flow of infinite spirit, and we have shifted and changed our consciousness that there are no problems in life. There's only a change in awareness, only spiritual growth. And everything is added unto us as we seek first this kingdom. And we give thanks for it. We are grateful, and so.
And as we move into a week of flow of spirit, of holy breath and wind, our offering statement is, I give in the flow of spirit and I receive abundantly. Together, I give in the flow of spirit and I receive abundantly.
And silently. And again aloud together.
I give in the flow of spirit, and I receive abundantly.
And so it is. Amen.